I couldn't even fathom why my little sister was obsessed with her doll. For me, personally, the doll was hideous. The eyes were of a sharp shade of blue that bore into your soul the longer you looked at it. The hair was messy and tangles spiraled out of the scalp. The skin was of a terrifying green color, and the clothes looked like they appeared from the garbage outside. That doll. There was nothing to appreciate about the appearance of the object. Nonetheless, the doll wasn't mine, and it was none of my business. Or so I thought. My sister, Emily, had named the wretched thing Lilith. She carried it around with her everywhere she went, and it gave me the creeps. It seemed to have a sinister presence, and I could swear its eyes followed me around the room. Every time I entered Emily's room, it felt as if Lilith was staring deep into my soul, and that chilling sensation sent shivers down my spine. I always questioned her, but she defended that thing like it was her actual child, and my parents would get on my back for being bothered by it. One night, I woke to the sound of Emily's hushed whispers coming from her room. Concerned, I tiptoed to her door and listened. She was speaking in a strange language I couldn't understand, and Lilith's voice, or what sounded like it, was responding. It was a guttural, otherworldly sound that sent chills down my spine. I couldn't help but overhear their eerie conversation. Emily, with a tremor in her voice, whispered, "Lilith, what do you want from me? Why are you so angry?" Lilith's voice, filled with malice, replied, "You brought me here, child. You awakened me from the darkness. I am trapped within this cursed vessel, and I hunger for retribution." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes as she pleaded, "I didn't mean to hurt you, Lilith. I just wanted a friend. Please, can we make this stop?" Lilith's response was a chilling, echoing laughter. "Friendship? You foolish child. I am no friend, and this vessel is my prison. Only by breaking the bonds that hold me can I find peace." My heart raced as I listened to this sinister exchange. It was clear that Emily was in danger, and Lilith was not to be trifled with. I knew that I had to find a way to free my sister from this unholy connection with the doll before it was too late. I couldn't ignore it any longer. There was something deeply wrong with that doll. It wasn't just an innocent plaything. It was as if an evil presence had taken hold of it. My sister was in danger, and I needed to find a way to put an end to this cursed object. I began my investigation by researching the doll online. Through the dark web, I discovered a history of strange occurrences linked to similar dolls. They were rumored to be vessels for restless spirits, and the only way to break the curse was to find the object that had tethered the spirit to the doll and destroy it. The source of this malevolence had to be hidden somewhere. One afternoon, when Emily was at school, I decided to search her room. I turned the place upside down, moving every piece of furniture, looking for any unusual objects or hidden compartments. It felt like an impossible task, but as I was about to give up, I found an old, dusty book hidden beneath her bed. The book was filled with symbols and incantations, and as I flipped through the pages, I realized that this book was the key to Lilith's possession. It contained instructions on how to summon and bind spirits to objects, and Lilith was the result of one such dark ritual. With newfound determination, I began to decipher the book's pages. It was risky, but I had to release whatever entity was trapped in that doll. I followed the instructions meticulously, gathering the necessary materials and creating a protective circle. My heart pounded as I recited the incantations, my voice trembling. As the last word left my lips, the room grew frigid. I shivered, but I couldn't stop now. The doll began to tremble on the floor, its eyes turning from piercing blue to a deep, haunting black. It let out an anguished wail that pierced through the air like a banshee's cry. "Lilith!" I called out, fear and determination mingling in my voice. "Who are you? What is your name and your purpose?" The room was filled with a chilling silence, broken only by the faint whispers of a ghostly wind. Then, in a haunting, echoing voice, the spirit within the doll began to speak. "I am Isabella," it said, each syllable dripping with a deep-seated anger. "I seek retribution for the wrongs that were done to me. I was bound to this cursed doll as punishment, and I have been trapped for far too long." I pleaded with Isabella, my voice filled with empathy and sincerity. "Isabella, I had nothing to do with your suffering, but I promise to help you find the closure and justice you seek. Please, tell me your story, so we can make amends for the wrongs that have been done to you." Isabella's story unfolded, a tragic tale of betrayal and sorrow. She had been a young girl, a victim of a dark and treacherous plot from a cult that had bound her to this doll. I listened intently, vowing to do whatever it took to help her find peace. As the spirit forgave me for my part in the ritual that had unleashed her, the dark energy that had enveloped Lilith began to dissipate. The doll fell silent and lifeless, and the room was once again bathed in a sense of calm. The malevolent presence that had haunted our lives was gone. With Isabella's story heard, I carefully packed the cursed book away, making sure it would never fall into the wrong hands again. We buried Lilith in the backyard, a final resting place for the vessel that had held Isabella's tortured spirit for so long. My sister, Emily, never fully understood the horrors that had transpired, and I didn't have the heart to tell her. All she knew was that the sinister connection she had with the doll had been severed, and she could finally sleep soundly without fear. We both knew that we had narrowly escaped a terrible fate, and I promised myself that I would always be vigilant, ready to protect my sister from any other supernatural threat that might come her way. We never spoke of Lilith again. Her soul can now rest peacefully without the curse of the previous cult. Story 2. Whatever I tried to prepare myself for could not have warned me about the dangers that came forth in front of me. Last week, I complained to my best friend about my laptop breaking down, mentioning how I was desperate for a gaming laptop. He suggested an old gaming laptop he found stored in his attic, and offered it to me for only $200. With complete trust in my friend and a bit of bargaining, I managed to get my hands on the laptop. However, I could never have foreseen what would happen next. The following weeks were normal, or at least, I thought they were at first. Strange sounds emitted from the laptop, a low guttural sound that came from the fan. There were also times I could hear whispers coming from the edges of my laptop, and glitches on the screen that were not the result of any signal failure. Assuming that it was just rusty and old, I took the laptop to the mechanic. To my surprise, they said they couldn't find anything wrong with the object. "It must be possessed," the mechanic joked with me, trying to ease the tension. I tried to laugh with him, but the eeriness of the situation got to me. Am I imagining things happening? I thought to myself, wandering around the possibilities of the situation. One night, it all came to a head. I was alone in my dimly lit room, headphones on, lost in the world of an intense video game. The laptop sat before me, its screen glowing eerily. Suddenly, the whispers grew louder and more pronounced, forming into a raspy voice. "Help me, please," the voice begged, sending shivers down my spine. I ripped off my headphones and stared at the laptop in disbelief. "Who's there?" I stammered, my heart racing. The voice continued, You must help me. I'm trapped in this wretched machine. My name is Eric, and I need your help to be free." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. A soul trapped inside a laptop? It sounded like a horror movie, but the desperation in Eric's voice was undeniable. "Eric, how can I help you?" I asked, my voice trembling. "You need to take me back to your best friend's house," Eric said. "That's where it all went wrong. We played a cursed game on this laptop, and I became trapped. I need you to return me to the attic of his house and break the curse." I was torn. The idea of helping Eric was both surreal and terrifying. But his plea felt genuine, and I couldn't ignore the strange occurrences happening with the laptop. As I embarked on the eerie quest, a chilling sense of foreboding settled over me. The attic, dimly lit and filled with old, forgotten relics, seemed to be a place that had been untouched for years. Dust motes danced in the dim light, and a faint, musty odor hung in the air. I followed Eric's instructions, carefully placing the laptop in the exact spot where my friend had found it. With bated breath, I started the cursed game, and the laptop's screen flickered with eerie symbols, casting an eerie glow in the attic. As the game progressed, the room around me began to change. The walls seemed to bleed with eerie colors, and the floor transformed into shifting, otherworldly terrain. Grotesque creatures lurked in the shadows, their eyes gleaming with malevolence. As much as I shouldn't think about it, the only thing I could be grateful for was that I only bought the cursed object for $40. Eric's voice echoed in my ears, guiding me through the treacherous game. "Stay focused, my friend," he urged. "We're getting closer to breaking the curse." As I faced increasingly bizarre challenges, the malevolent presence that had trapped Eric grew stronger, trying to thwart our efforts. Sinister whispers filled the air, taunting and cajoling me to give up. But with Eric's guidance and determination, I pressed on, determined to break the curse and free my friend. Hours passed, the challenges growing more intense and surreal with each passing moment. My heart raced as I navigated through the final challenge, my hands trembling on the keyboard. With a surge of determination, I conquered the obstacle, and the laptop screen went dark. The room returned to its normal state, the nightmarish realm fading away like a distant nightmare. A profound silence filled the attic, and I knew that I had succeeded in breaking the curse. My heart pounded as I waited for a sign that Eric was finally free. Then, a gentle whisper filled the air, "Thank you, my friend." Relief washed over me as I realized that Eric's voice was no longer trapped within the laptop. The malevolent presence had been banished, and my best friend was free at last. I carefully powered down the laptop and carried it back home. The strange sounds and whispers that had haunted me for weeks were gone. I couldn't fully comprehend the supernatural forces at play, but I knew that I had helped my best friend and a trapped soul find peace. I screamed when my best friend came behind me. "What are you doing here?" he asked, skeptical of why I would carry his previous laptop when it was now mine. "Oh, well, I stumbled across my words as I couldn't fathom what to say to my best friend. "Why would you let him free?" he directly asked. "You wanted Eric trapped?" I was horrified. Was this still my best friend? Instead of answering back, his sinister smile spread across his face. "Since Eric is gone, I need a replacement." He laughed maniacally before lunging at me, my soul leaving towards the darkness of a laptop screen. Story 3. I was out eating ice cream with my boyfriend when suddenly a local merchandiser tried selling me their antiques. I would have ignored them at first, but I noticed they were selling an old embroidered firelighter that would be perfect for my scented candles. The best part was that it was only sold for $10, and I would never pass up a great offer. Now, I wish I did. I placed the firelighter on my nightstand, getting ready for bed. It had a certain charm to it, with intricate patterns etched into the metal. I admired its craftsmanship as I prepared to sleep. That night, as I lay in bed, I started to feel a creeping unease. The room grew colder, and I couldn't shake the sensation that someone was watching me. I tossed and turned, trying to shake off the anxiety that gnawed at me. It was a restless night filled with vivid, unsettling dreams. In my dreams, I found myself in a dark and foreboding forest, illuminated only by the eerie, flickering glow of a fire. I clutched the firelighter in my hand, and it radiated an unnatural warmth, as if it held a life of its own. The forest around me felt ancient and menacing, and the ominous flames danced wildly, casting grotesque, shadowy figures on the towering trees. As I approached the fire, the whispering figures became more distinct, and their hushed voices sent shivers down my spine. They were cloaked in darkness, their features obscured, and their eyes seemed to gleam with a malevolent intelligence. They beckoned to me, their bony fingers outstretched. "Come closer," one of them hissed, the voice chillingly familiar yet foreign. "We have secrets to share." I tried to wake up, but it felt like I was trapped in that haunting dreamscape, ensnared by the enchantment of the firelighter. The forest's ancient trees reached out to grab me, and the ground beneath me turned treacherous, as if it conspired to keep me there. The figures in the shadows whispered secrets that I strained to understand. They spoke of forbidden knowledge, of ancient rituals, and of a power that had been sealed away. The firelighter pulsed in my hand, its warmth intensifying with each whispered secret, almost as if it were absorbing the sinister energy. "Why did you wake me?" the figures murmured, their voices mingling with the crackling of the fire. "You carry the key, the firelighter that binds our world to yours." Fear coursed through me, realizing that the antique firelighter had become a conduit for these malevolent entities. I had to escape this nightmarish realm, but it seemed impossible. Desperation drove me to confront the whispering figures. "What do you want from me?" I demanded, my voice trembling. Their hollow laughter filled the forest, echoing with a spine-chilling resonance. "We want freedom," they replied in a chorus of eerie voices. "And we need you to release us. Embrace the power of the firelighter, and we shall be free." At that moment, I understood that the antique firelighter had been used as a vessel to tether these entities to our world, and my nightmares were the result of their desperate bid for release. I had unwittingly become a part of their sinister plan, ensnared in a dreamscape that threatened to consume me. With all the willpower I could muster, I tried to wrench the firelighter from my grasp. As I fought against the powerful pull of the dreamscape, the firelighter resisted, its pulse growing stronger. But I couldn't let it control me any longer. As I pulled harder, the firelighter finally released its grip on me, and I felt myself being torn from the nightmarish forest. The dream world dissolved into darkness, and I woke up in my own bed, gasping for breath. The next morning, I awoke in a cold sweat, my heart pounding. It was just a dream, I reassured myself, but the sense of dread that had washed over me lingered. I couldn't shake the feeling that the antique firelighter had something to do with those unsettling dreams. Over the next few nights, the nightmares continued, each one more disturbing than the last. I found myself wandering deeper into the dark forest, guided by the ominous whispers of the shadowy figures. The firelighter in my hand had become a source of both comfort and dread. I confided in my boyfriend, telling him about the dreams and the antique firelighter. He suggested that the firelighter might be the cause of my nightmares and urged me to get rid of it. But part of me was reluctant to let go. It had been such a unique find, and I didn't want to admit that it might be the source of my torment. As the nightmares escalated, I began to lose sleep, and the lines between dreams and reality blurred. I would wake up in the middle of the night, clutching the firelighter, unsure of how it had ended up in my hand. The whispers from my dreams seemed to linger, echoing through my thoughts even when I was awake. One day, as I examined the firelighter more closely, I noticed a faint inscription etched into the metal. It was a strange symbol that I didn't recognize. Desperation drove me to seek answers, and I delved into researching the origin of the firelighter and the symbol. My research led me to a local historian who specialized in ancient relics. He informed me that the symbol on the firelighter was associated with a dark and mysterious cult that had practiced in the area centuries ago. They were rumored to use such items to invoke otherworldly powers, often with sinister intent. My heart sank as I realized the implications. The antique firelighter was more than just a decorative piece, it had been used in dark rituals. I knew I had to break the connection between the firelighter and the nightmares before it was too late. With the help of the historian, we conducted a ritual to cleanse the firelighter of its malevolent influence. The process was eerie and unsettling, but I could sense a shift in the energy as the antique firelighter's power waned. Afterward, the nightmares gradually subsided, and I could finally get a peaceful night's sleep. The antique firelighter, now stripped of its dark energy, no longer held me captive in my own dreams. I placed it back on the nightstand, but this time, it was just a decorative piece, devoid of its sinister past. The sense of dread that had haunted me for so long had finally lifted, and I vowed to be more cautious about the objects I brought into my life, knowing that sometimes, their history can be darker than we could ever imagine.